It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
So my friends, are you tired of being lied to, deceived about this election? You only wish you could get some true facts of what's going on. I know everyone's desperate to do whatever they have to do. Today we're going to talk about true facts. Everything to be said today, you can check, they're all facts. My guest is former Congressman Lou Barletta, no stranger to the state of Pennsylvania. Congressman, he went into, when he went to Congress, he said he was doing things and he did them. He's well respected. I don't ever know him to be on the show has ever lied. Lou, how are you?
I'm good, Sam. Good to be here.
Lou, I've said this on my show. This is well over 4,000 shows I've done since 1994. I respect a lot of people in the media. We have good relationships with them. I'm so discouraged to see how the national media has twisted and not presented and are doing everything that they can just for power, to get their power back, okay? And here, it saddens me, and I'm sure people who are supporting Biden have some reasons for that, but I'd like to have true facts. I get this in the mail, Center for Voter Information. I'm thinking it's something important. I'm thinking it's something that, we should be concerned about. But it has about pre-existing medical conditions, and they say about the law prohibits insurance companies from disrespecting their duty to Americans' pre-existing conditions. Then it says Trump is asking the Supreme Court to betray Americans with pre-existing conditions by overturning the current law. Now, is that true?
No, it's absolutely not. The president has made it clear that anybody with pre-existing conditions will be covered, period. And unfortunately, Democrats have used this issue to scare people. I mean, Sam, it's either Social Security is going to be, they're going to take it out. I mean, it goes on and on, but it comes election time. It's disgraceful that you would want to scare people who have a pre-existing condition into believing that if you didn't vote for the Democrat, the Republicans were going to take it away from you, when the president has been clear that they will not end or hurt anyone with pre-existing conditions. But why? But there you go. I mean, they're continuing to spread untruths, lies, in order to win an election.
Trump was told in January that the coronavirus is a serious threat to our country. To prevent news stories about spreading virus that would make him look bad, he betrayed our country by lying about how dangerous the virus was. As military experts were warning him about the disgusting virus, he told Americans it wasn't a problem and didn't prepare to fight it. Every week in January and February, people infected with the virus contacted, and he donated medical gear to China. The experts say our hospitals need to fight the virus. They said Biden defended our country, et cetera, et cetera. So here again, tell me about that.
Sure. So if the president didn't do what he did in January, against what the experts had told him, who disagreed with him, he shut anyone from coming from China coming back into the United States because they would not contain the virus in China. Had he not done that, millions of people would have died. And what the president did, I mean, he did that before anyone else, when Joe Biden called him racist, basically, for doing that. So Joe Biden would not have done that, and God knows how many people would have died. And the president said that he did not want to scare people because he did not want them to panic, as any good leader would do. Joe Biden said the American people don't panic. Really, Joe? Did you try to get toilet paper when the virus first broke out? Did you try to get any meat? I mean, we went to the store and it was this, you couldn't get, people were beginning to panic. And the president had to make sure that everyone stayed calm. He went ahead, he engaged with the private sector like no president has ever done to make ventilators. Nobody needed a ventilator. If you remember, people were going to die because there weren't going to be enough ventilators. Nobody needed a ventilator. Everyone that needed a ventilator got one. He went, he had masks made, testing kits made, and a vaccine that'll be done in record time. I mean, if you look how Biden and Obama handled the swine flu, at that time, when his own chief of staff said they got lucky in finding a vaccine for it. It's just a shame, again, that they're using COVID. They're doing everything, Sam. The Russian thing didn't work.
Yes.
And here the COVID thing fell into their lap. And instead of really being honest with the American people, they saw this as an opportunity to blame the president, as if somehow Governor Tom Wolf putting seniors who had the virus back into nursing homes, and Governor Cuomo, who also did the same in New York, that killed so many people, as if they weren't responsible. Somehow this was the president's fault, who was able to do things in record time. It's disgraceful that they'll use anything, and the media has become their partner. They have become the arm of the Democrat Party, and literally to covering things up or to spread things that are not true in order to get Donald Trump out of the White House.
Why such a hatred for Donald Trump? Why we have some people, we had one person tell Marianne Lawhon after church, I'm not voting for Trump because I don't like his face. Okay, I mean, forget about what has been accomplished, okay? So being in Congress, you saw what happened in the last 4 years when he was president, okay? And if he was a Democrat, I'd be saying the same thing. It doesn't make any difference, the point that he's a Republican. So when I see these things, I'm saying, well, everybody has a right to do what they do, and that's their business. However, it seems the liberal Democrats don't like when they see conservatives doing what they have to do. They want to attack them, they want to lie to them, they want to damage what they can do. You just told me about what they're doing in Lancaster. What are they telling them?
Literally dropping pieces of mail. Somebody sent me a copy of one this morning, mail telling people to make sure that their homeowner's insurance is paid and that they have fire protection, because they're going to burn their houses to get even with them for supporting Trump. I mean, this has to be taken to the FBI, but it's sad what's happening right now. It's almost like a desperation, because I really feel people, now that they had an opportunity to see Joe Biden out of his basement, are realizing that he's not in any kind of shape mentally or physically to be able to take on the duties of the president. And those that are behind the scenes, Kamala Harris and AOC and her group and Bernie Sanders, that's really who is going to be running the White House.
What happens if Joe Biden wins?
Well, I'm very scared of what's going to happen, because there's going to be such a drastic shift left in the party, way out of mainstream. Any Democrat that was a moderate Democrat, a Kennedy Democrat, a Pennsylvania Democrat, I like to say, this party won't even recognize the party you grew up with. I mean, they're going to make a massive shift. I mean, they're talking about the Second Amendment. Beto O'Rourke is going to be his gun czar. AOC, who wrote the Green New Deal, along with co-sponsored by Kamala Harris, will be his energy expert. I mean, this is going on, and how they're going to come after Pennsylvania with our fossil fuels and our energy, with the opportunities we have, will kill our economy. 609,000 jobs will be affected right here in Pennsylvania. How
then? And here the show. The topic is true facts. How then, if you know that your neighbors in your community are going to lose their jobs, okay? How then could you? I mean, like, I would think if I'm supporting someone, I would have to look at all the values, and no one's perfect. There's things that we may, but weighing them. So you're telling me, is this a fact? If Joe Biden becomes president, a lot of coal jobs are done, a lot of fossil fuel, fracking is done. We're talking about, look at many people in our area that are depending on, coal, that have families working in this area.
Well, there was not even a gray area in it. Joe Biden in September of last year said at a town hall, he had a baseball cap on, he walked over to a woman, tugged on his cap, and he said, "Look into my eyes, I guarantee you," and then he repeated it, "I guarantee you, I will put an end to fossil fuels." Now, Sam, that's not a gray area statement. That's not like, well, I'm thinking about it.
He said that.
It's not. Well, it's on tape.
Well, see,
I mean,
what color is this? Okay.
I mean, you can't deny what you actually see him doing. And then in February, he followed it up by 3 times saying it'll have no place in our administration. Fossil fuels will have no place. And Kamala Harris has been clear time and time again with proof where she said, we are going to put an end to fossil fuels. The Green New Deal does exactly that. And when he was confronted with this in the debate last week, Sam, I had to play it back just to make sure I heard it right. He said, we will have 0 carbon emissions by 2025. You know what that means? That's a death sentence. 0 carbon emissions means no fossil fuels anywhere at any time by 2025 because it's impossible for them to have 0 carbon emissions. So there's no gray area here. How could you claim you love Pennsylvania so much and you're the boy from Scranton, but yet have such a radical agenda that was made by AOC to end airplanes and cars and cows, and then actually you're the front person, you're the straw man for these policies that will kill jobs, kill our future here in Pennsylvania. Not only the direct jobs, Sammy, but when people make good money, they spend it. It comes into our communities. They buy things, they go to restaurants, they fix their homes, they buy cars. This would be devastating to Pennsylvania. I want to tell you another story too. And I have personal experience how Joe Biden is lying to the people. In a town hall he had just about 2 weeks ago, he was confronted with what I just told you. And it was actually somebody from the Boilermakers, a union member from the Boilermakers 154, which is out in Pittsburgh, where they said that they could not support Joe Biden because he's anti-fracking. Joe Biden said, that's not true. He said, as a matter of fact, I got the endorsement of that union, of the Boilermakers 154. I sat down with them and explained my policy, and they overwhelmingly endorsed me. Well, Sammy, I almost fell over dead on the chair because I personally had worked with that union to get the endorsement for Donald Trump. They not only didn't endorse Joe Biden, he never sat down with them. None of that was true. It was a total lie. They had endorsed Donald Trump because of Joe Biden's radical energy ideas. The business manager of that union called me and said, did you just hear that? And we went out and did a press conference, and they openly said Joe Biden just lied to the American people. Now, he could have just said, I have their support, but he actually made up a story where he sat down with them and explained why. Sammy, he is dangerous to the American people when he cannot tell the truth, and he's literally willing to lie when something is so obviously untrue.
If Joe Biden wins, how do you think that's going to affect the greater Hazleton area, Wilkes-Barre area, Scranton area, the place where we live?
Well, I think it's going to affect us a lot because Pennsylvania will suffer because the energy is our future. We are an energy exporter, and we are now exporting energy to the world. That affects every one of us because the revenue that it generates into the state helps us with our taxes and our ability. When you help the whole Commonwealth, everyone benefits from that. These jobs will be lost. We remember what happened to coal when coal left. You remember Hazleton was a bustling area. I think our population was like 40,000 people. When coal died, our communities died. The same thing will happen again. Listen, they're talking about, just look at what happened yesterday in Philadelphia with the riots again. The governor called it peaceful protest. 30 police officers were injured. One was run over by a car. They looted stores, carrying out dishwashers, and this is the kind of chaos. And Joe Biden said nothing about what's happening in our communities with defunding the police and lawlessness. I'm really worried of what's going to happen, and I'm afraid that Joe Biden seriously will not be able to finish a term if he won, and that a radical regime that is now taken over the Democrat Party will control this country.
There's no secret that if anyone knows Lou Barletta, excuse me, that you are very close with Donald Trump, the president, and also his kids. You've been in the plane a number of times. You've been in his personal, he invited you down to have a discussion in the White House. And you have you have a friend who is a governor who's a Democrat, but he served with you and you have respect for the person. So you see both sides. So you get a chance, Lou, to talk to people, that we don't have a chance to talk to. Why, the people who are your friends, colleagues, who are supporting Biden, what are the reasons for that?
It all comes down to power. It literally comes down to power. They don't want to be in the minority. So here's the way it works. Like when you're in Congress, you serve on committees. You serve on 2 or 3 committees. It's very important. Whoever has the majority. So if Nancy Pelosi now has the majority, those committees are chaired by Democrats, and there'll be a majority more Democrats on the committee than Republicans. It affects every single thing we do because of what goes through those committees. And most people want to become a chairman of a committee or a subcommittee. So it actually becomes a lot about personal power, pushing the agenda. Unfortunately, I know a lot of Democrats that I served with that said, listen, this isn't even the same. This literally, AOC and that group has shifted this party way out of mainstream. I don't think Nancy Pelosi has control anymore of this group, because if they don't go along with them, I think they're gonna she'll be gone. So unfortunately, I don't know how you fix this on the Democrat side, but their ideas are now radical. They're not mainstream ideas where you can't be a moderate Democrat and survive anymore.
As a former debater, I always try to listen to both sides. And, here again, it's, you hate to tell anybody how to vote. It's none of our business. People think because we're doing a show like this, that Sam Lesante's pro-Trump or whatever. I've always invited other people to come on, but I invited Cartwright a number of times. He has people call me and, either he's busy or whatever. How important is it to have a Republican Congress?
Well, I think it's very important, because otherwise you're not going to be able to stop these radical ideas. I mean, Sam, they're okay with a baby being aborted the day of its birth. And in some cases, if they were having an abortion, even if the baby was born and it didn't go right, to kill the baby after it's born. I mean, I'll give you an example of another example. There have been just a handful of children under the age of 17 who have died from coronavirus since March 15th till now. There have been over 18,000 babies aborted in Pennsylvania during that time, where Governor Wolf said that it was an essential business.
Yeah.
We couldn't go to church.
Yeah.
You couldn't get a cancer screening.
Yeah.
You couldn't get a health screening, but you can abort a baby. These are the type of ideas that are now becoming mainstream with the party. So I think it's very important, I really worry that if on Tuesday, Tuesday night, you have Joe Biden in the White House and Schumer running the Senate and Nancy Pelosi running the House, that our freedom is on the ballot, and I don't think we'll be able to recognize America after that.
When you're talking to extreme liberal Democrats, what you're saying is hogwash. That's not going to happen. Lou Barletta is that way. He's buddies with Trump, and that's why he has to say what he says. That's why I said we're talking about true facts. And facts are ugly things sometimes, Lou. They hit you in the face. I'm talking to former Congressman Lou Barletta. True facts, this election is by far critical. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks, 24/7, SSPTV.com. Pottsville, 7 to 11, Channel 190. Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Pittston, Channel 92, 7 to 11 p.m. Saturday and Sundays, p.m. In the Lackawanna area, Channel 190, 8 to 11 a.m. Saturdays and Sundays. My guest is Congressman Lou Barletta, former congressman. The topic of this show are true facts. So we talk about open borders, we talk about free health care. How is this going to affect us?
Well, first of all, if you have open borders, and I mean, they talk about tearing down the wall that the president is building. So,
In other words, the billions that we paid for the
we're
wall,
going to tear the walls
they have
down
to tear it down.
and a pathway to citizenship. And so, what does that tell everyone? It's like, okay, everyone come to the United States because you're not going to be stopped. And then they want to give free health care to people who are in the country illegally. So imagine how many more people are going to come to this country because the Democrat Party wants to give health care and cover anybody that's in the country illegally. So what's that going to do to the cost of health care? They talk about Medicare for all. If I was a senior citizen and I would hear that, I would never think of voting for a Democrat. Medicare for all. How, I mean, are we going to pay to cover everybody under Medicare?
Well, we're having a tough enough time now. Some seniors are having some difficult times now with their health care, okay? And it's not that, because then you have the other side where you have where they're saying, well, we should be a giving nation. We should accept people. We should give them what they need. And we understand that. How do you answer that question?
Very simple. We're the most loving country in the world. We want people to come here, but we have a legal process to do it. And you must follow that process for a good reason. They want to check your background. They want to make sure you have a good background. They want to check your health to make sure you're not bringing any diseases into the country. They want to make sure that you're going to make America first, your home. When you get sworn in, that's the oath you take. But Sam, if they have money to cover every illegal alien in the country with free health care, then couldn't that money be used on Americans to lower their cost of health care? Couldn't we expand it? I mean, where are they getting the money for? If they talk about programs being broke, Medicare will be broke by this year, then how the heck, where are we going to get the money to cover everybody else? Isn't this money that we could be putting towards the program right now? I mean, these are radical ideas of not putting America first and Americans first, and rather saying we're going to take care of everybody else, and the more money you make, that's where how you're going to pay for it. We're going to give it to other people.
I've noticed from talking to Denver people and people coming up to me, there are a lot of intelligent people, professional people, not a lot, but some of them, who are for Joe Biden. So you would think that if a person has knowledge and is educated, et cetera, there would be reasons why they want to support, other than being a Democrat, I'll die Democrat. Those people, I don't know why they think that way, especially these days. So you have people who are intelligent, who feel that what you're saying is that's okay. It's all right for this to get rid of the coal industry, lose jobs or whatever, have more babies slaughtered, et cetera. I say slaughtered because that's exactly what they're doing with them. How do you reason with people like that?
I don't know if you can, Sam.
You've dealt with them.
I don't know if you can. I mean, we're at that point. People just dislike Donald Trump that much, and you don't have to like him. You don't have to like what he says. It annoys people the way he acts sometimes, and that bothers people. But it's his policies that matter. He's taking care of the American people. He's keeping his promise of what he said he was going to do: put America first and fight for American people. He doesn't have to do this. He's a very rich, wealthy man, but he loves America and he fights for Americans. I see it every single day. So does that outweigh we don't like the way he talks or we don't like the way he acts? It's his policies that affect us. I mean, African Americans have never done better. Hispanics, Latinos, women, go down the line. He's warned other countries, you're not going to take our jobs anymore. We become energy independent, that we don't rely on other countries. Sam, people are kneeling for the American flag, for the national anthem, and the Democrats think this is okay. This is the direction this country is going into. This election is about two different Americas.
They're not telling you about the devastation that the sports industry has had. The press is not coming out telling you, exactly how devastating it's been, because I think they're just covering it like they cover everything else. Very quickly, this Hunter Biden thing, how serious is this?
Well, it's very serious. I mean, this is not an anonymous source. This is actual proof in Hunter Biden's own words, that the big guy will get 10%. And this is dealing with China. And they have proof that 20%, he was supposed to get 10, his brother Jim Biden, and there was 20, the 10% went there. So so you could be blackmailed by China. I mean, the fact that they had these dealings.
Where's Joe Biden's part in this?
Well, Joe Biden met with Bobulinski, the partner that was there, that said that Joe Biden was the head of this enterprise, the Biden family enterprise, and he met with him twice. And Joe Biden told the American people he had no knowledge of his son's business dealings, which is absolutely another lie. That is not true.
You don't hear too much of that. Joe, Lou, we got about a minute left. What would you tell our viewers who are, I'm sure most of them decided, but what would you tell them why it's so important to vote for Trump?
Well, because freedom is on the ballot on Tuesday. You have one party that calls riots, protests, want to talk about defunding the police, illegal immigrants getting free health care, Medicare for all, open borders, higher taxes. He's going to do away with the tax breaks everyone got. On the other hand, you have a choice of Donald Trump, who again stands for the unborn, took care of our military. No veteran will ever die waiting in line for health care under Donald Trump. He's putting them first. The second chance that he's giving other people who went to prison and came back and are giving them a second chance. We could go on, building the wall, securing our borders, lower taxes, greatest economy we've ever had, an opportunity here in Pennsylvania through energy that we can live on.
You're telling me that if Joe Biden would win, there are many people in the greater Hazleton area who are depending on coal and will lose their jobs.
There's no question about it, and the community.
So our neighbors who are here, if Biden wins, they're losing their jobs.
And right, I mean, they're talking about wind and solar replacing all fossil fuels.
That's scary.
Higher energy costs, Sam. The average home will pay over $1,500 to $2,000 more in electricity and energy costs.
I opened the show and said true facts. If any one of you think that he is not telling you the true facts, email me, sam@ssptv.com, and then do what you have to do. Weigh the issues. This is a critical time. People are upset. People get upset if you tell them you're for Trump. The polls are crazy, aren't they? I mean, Lou, you ever get a call from a pollster? We're for Biden, but here we're doing this poll, so if they, it's just amazing. Please vote, my friends. We'll see you next time.